relaxing, and just had the best relaxing time. And now I'm back. And apparently the Guardians haven't lost since I left the country. So if I need to leave again, just let me know. It's all about me.
You be that sacrificial martyr for us.
I will take one for the team.
We appreciate that. And we're going to start out with the Guardians because actually they play in about 40 minutes. So we're going to have a shortened show because I'm going to go ahead and go over to the game as well. So I don't know about you, but I'm super excited. And Kate, I had to text you earlier this week just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating and making sure that I checked with you. And I probably got to go through all the shows, but I know that I predicted the Guardians would come back. And I know that I said that they would contend for the AL Central. I think
it wasn't even they'd get a wild card. You said Detroit was going to come back down to earth. It was going to be an epic collapse. And that the Guardians, after that 10-game losing streak, they got that out of their system and they were just going to go. And girl, they have just gone. It's insane. It's insane. This season is absolutely the definition in sports of when a team peaks at the right time.
Yeah.
Because they've got all the stuff going on. All the stuff. So it is very awesome. I'm loving every minute of it. I'm going to the game Saturday.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, so our whole family's going. My brother-in-law got like a whole bunch of tickets, so we were all going, and he got these like 2 months ago. So he's so excited. Joe and I are bringing our granddaughter Penny. She's a huge Guardians fan.
How's she doing?
She's great. My boys love football, but Penny loves the Guardians. She's got a jersey and a hat and earrings, and she loves it. So she's super excited. She's going to go. So we're all going to go. But they flexed the game. I knew they did that in football. I didn't realize they did that in baseball. So they flexed the afternoon game to be at 7:15 at night.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yeah,
so we're going to head down early, probably around 4, and go over onto, what is that, East 4th Street, West 4th Street, whatever that is over there.
Yeah, East 4th Street.
Go down there, and you can valet park there. It's super cheap. And then if you eat somewhere there, then your parking's good. And then just leave our car there and then walk over to the ballpark. So we're super excited to make a day of it. I love the crowds that I've been seeing on TV the last few days. Like, people are showing up and showing out. When it was time for us to head to Detroit, God, it's probably 5-6 games ago, people were like, there's no way. I'm like, if they sweep, it's on. It's on. And people are like, there's no way. Detroit's too hot. Not going to happen. And I'm like, listen, I'm not baseball girl. That's my girl, Rachel. Rachel said it's happening. It's happening. They're on a winning streak. Let's go. And then when they swept Detroit in Detroit, not only did the people here start believing, the people in Detroit are talking about the Tigers like it is the most epic collapse in team history. They are losing their minds. And we got them at home now because we had those back-to-back series. So we got them tonight with an early start. And I am just super excited to watch this team. It's fun. It is so much fun. When I watch football, I'm all stressed and I'm waiting for us to blow it and for us to do stupid things. But the Guardians over the last few weeks have made me a believer that this is our year, that we're going to win the AL Central, that we're going to make a deep run into the playoffs, that there's nothing this team can't do right now. And that's a very different story than what you and I were talking about in May and June.
Well, actually, Kate, this is historical. So no team has came behind from 15 and a half games to win a division. So this will be the first time.
Help with that, right? You can't just win 15 in a row and call it a day, because every time your opponents in your division win, they keep moving. They're all losing, and we're just passing them by.
And one of the things that had annoyed me was how positive during that 10-game losing streak Stephen Vogt was, because I'm like, everything is falling apart. What are you talking about? And it was just like, when I made that prediction, it was July. So you still had 3 more months of baseball left. I knew that Detroit, as good as they are, would not be able to stay on that same clip that they were winning at. You had to have help, of course, but it was just something within me that I'm like, Detroit ain't gonna be able to pull this out. This is the Guardians. We're kings of this division, and we're gonna do what we're gonna do. It looked very bleak, but when they came and swept the Astros, who historically, they've had trouble against, I was like, okay, it's on. This team is about to do something. And it was just something within me. And one of the things that Vogt talked about, that this team, and I've mentioned this over and over again, was situational hitting. And that was one thing that they've turned around in their favor. They've been able to be even more successful at that. And I'm going to ask him about that. What did they do, without giving any secrets? But their situational hitting was terrible. They loaded the bases and they could not get a hit to save their lives, to send, somebody home. And you're getting contributions from everybody. Bo Naylor's batting average has went up to the 180s. Remember, he was hitting like one in the 140s.
I was ready to let him go. At the All-Star break, I wanted to trade him. I was done.
Yeah.
You believed I was done. I will own it.
Yeah, you have 5 people in your lineup hitting under 200. How can you be successful with that?
And we always talk about how you can't lose the pennant race in April and May, or you can't win it, but you can lose it. You can get so far behind that you just can't overcome that. When they were 12, 13, 15 games back, I'm done. I'm done. They can't come back from this. Even if they win every game out, they can't come back from this. Boy, was I wrong. You kept telling me to believe. I'm giving you props. You kept telling me to believe. It ain't over till it's over. One of the things that made me crazy about Vogt, I think, has actually been the strongest thing about him this year, is he's just the same every day. It's like you said, did we lose 10 in a row? Did we win 10 in a row? He is just consistently the same thing every day. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They had that winning streak, and then they lost that game, Saturday or Sunday? And now they're 2 games into a new streak. And the media was talking to some of the players, and they're like, Stephen Vogt's just like, all right, we lost. Let's get ready for tomorrow. Just like, he's so calm, cool, and collected that the players are like calm, cool, and collected. And that made me crazy, but that's exactly what this team needs, is someone who's not that emotional screaming and yelling guy. He has kept them in this. He has kept them focused, so that when you're 15 games out, it is very easy to give up. It's very easy to stop trying, to not think about it. When Clase got taken out with all of his issues, I'm like, that's it. We're done. Somebody else steps up. Like, next man up has been happening all year. And then the regular guys, like you said, Bo Naylor, Manzardo, Daniel Schneemann, like some of these younger guys have really stepped up their game. I can't believe Jose got 30 home runs. He's hitting 284 and 30 home runs. And you got Kyle Manzardo hitting 234. And then it's just weird. We didn't have anybody, I think, over 200 at one point this season other than Jose. And look at him. To me, this is management. This is all credit I'm going to give to the manager, that he has kept these men focused on the game. He has kept them. You still got to play. You still got to win. You still got to do your thing. And they're just doing their part and looking around and going, wait, everybody's coming back to us. Everybody else is losing. Everybody else is like, oh, we got it made. We don't have to try, whatever they're thinking. And now we're the top of the AL Central.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds you a little bit of, was it 2022 or 2023 when, no, was it Stephen Vogt or Tito's last year, where, they pull people up like Stephen Kwan and he performed immediately.
It was Tito's last year.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then, he's called a bunch of people up and they perform, from Petey to George, these new guys, and CJ Kafis, and George Valera's story, in which, he's been so mired in injury, he hasn't been able to play. And he came into the minor system in like the 2020s, he
was talking yesterday, the day before, there was a point in his career where, because of the injuries, he couldn't walk. Is he the one that hit the home run the other night? Yeah. That's when I heard the interview. He said, there were points in my career I couldn't walk, where I had to battle these injuries. I'm in the minor leagues, and all I wanted to do was hit a home run to win a game for my team. And I did that today because he kept doing the work. He kept believing in himself and he kept doing the work. And that paid off for him. That paid off for us. Well, I love all of that. It makes it difficult when I have to argue with people who say that we have a small payroll and the owners don't spend enough money and we're never going to be able to compete. Because then you have a year like this where they bring like Tito did in 22, where you bring these kids up that nobody knows and they perform and they win. And we're going to get to the playoffs with maybe the lowest payroll in the playoffs. And I want to win because they're my team. I want to win. But then it sends that message out that you don't have to have a big payroll to win. You just have to have the right talent evaluator. So I guess if that's where I got to be, if I got to argue that you don't have to have payroll, if you got talent scouts and you have the right manager and the right coaching staff, maybe we can win a World Series with this payroll.
Yeah, you have 2 stars and Steven Kwan and Jose Ramirez, and they don't make a ton of money. Jose Ramirez took a hometown discount, to stay with this franchise. He wants to retire as a Guardian, I'm believing, and then you have a couple other guys. I look at it like, we definitely could have a better record if we didn't have so many lost saves by Cade Smith. And, I look at Luis Ortiz, and Emmanuel Clase messed this team up, but the Guardians haven't skipped a beat since they left. But with those saves, those blown saves, we could be the number 1 seed in all of the AL. You know what I'm saying? But I can't dwell on that because we're at where we're at, but we could be better. We could have a better record. We could have a bye.
I get that. I do. But so I got 2 things for you. First thing is I turn everything into football in my head. One of the things that you and I talked about is Baker Mayfield. He would not be as good in Cleveland today as he is in Tampa because he needed that year in Carolina to get humble. And he needed that time to get mature to turn into who he's going to be. Did Cade Smith need those blown saves to get through whatever's going on in his head? Because you got to be a different kind of dude to be a closer in Major League Baseball. Did he need those blown saves to get through that, to see how his teammates still supported him, how his coaches still took care of him, how they coached him through those, so that now he's in a better mental headspace to get the saves that matter in the playoffs? I kind of put that spin on it. You're right. We could have had a better record, but what are we at? 86 wins? Rachel, I didn't think we'd get 80 wins. And we still got 4 more. I didn't think we'd sniff 80, and we're at 86. And we're at, the best record in baseball is only 90. I don't know that I want the pressure of having the best record in baseball, having home field the whole time, but everybody's coming for me because I have that pressure of the best. There's no pressure on these guys. They are underdogs all the way through the series. I don't care how many games they've won in these last. I don't care that they've overcome this 15 games back thing. They are going to be the underdogs in every series through the playoffs. And I think that's a better mentality for them because they won't have the pressure that would be on them otherwise. They're doing it to themselves. They've seen, these are kids who grew up watching film of the Tribe that we watched in the 90s, that saw the playoff run in 2016, that have seen some of this stuff. They know what this fan base is like, and they are having fun, and they are playing carefree baseball. I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on themselves because they want to deliver. But I love that the fans are showing up for them and in a big way. And I think that really helps. Was watching the game the other day, and they're showing shots of Donovan Mitchell in the crowd. I'm like, that's right.
And Darius Garland was there last night.
We got other locals in the crowd.
Yeah, Drew Carey. I was so mad I didn't get a chance to talk to him and tell him how much I love the Drew Carey show, because between 7 and 8 o'clock when I was at Ohio State, I would tell people, do not call me because I'm watching Drew Carey. And I got there too late to talk to him. Yeah, him and Mimi going at it every day. I just loved it, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I was so mad because my Natalie did. And
I posted some pictures. I
love her. And there's no expectation on these teams. I was looking at an article today on ESPN about, the impending playoffs and which teams are going to make noise and stuff like that. Nobody mentioned the Guardians. This was
And you
from
know what?
all the Jeff
That's fine.
Passan and
That's fine.
Buster Olney and all that other
That's,
stuff. So there's
I
no
love that.
expectations on the Guardians. And I
Love
said
that for us.
they might win the whole doggone thing.
Love that for us. Because on Sunday, didn't nobody think the Browns had a chance to beat the Green Bay Packers? They were all talking about how the Green Bay Packers are going undefeated and they're going to the Super Bowl. And guess what? No, they're not. Anybody can win any day. It's all about what you got going on in here, and you got to show up. But is it me? I feel like when the Browns are doing well or the Cavaliers are doing well, I don't see guys from other sports teams in town at their games. Is it just because it's easy to go to baseball games and they like to go to the baseball games? Is it because they're all in season right now, so they're in town? Maybe the baseball players all go back home when that season's over, so they're not here. Mm-hmm. But like when the Cavs made their run, they were getting ready for like spring training and stuff. I don't remember seeing other athletes from Cleveland teams at games the way I see them going. LeBron used to get a suite and go to the Guardians games. They would always show him and all his boys at the Guardians games. We get a lot of love from the other teams for baseball.
Yeah, I actually saw the Guardians at Browns game one time. There was a lot of them there because they walked through the media, through the press box or whatever. So, I haven't really seen any sense or anything like that. But, you never know. I mean, usually they put them on the Jumbotron and stuff like that. But usually
they'll go this year because they'll be deep in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I think it's great that these athletes come out and support each other and stuff like that. And they were sitting in regular seats, probably nice seats, but they weren't sitting in the Lexus Club, the old dugout suites or anything like that, which they really made nice.
The Browns are not home again until October 19th, so we got some time.
Isn't that crazy?
Because they got to go to Detroit, and then they got to go to London, and then they got to go to Pittsburgh. So from a traffic standpoint, if we got baseball games the next 2-3 weeks, we don't have to worry about anything happening on a Sunday where you might be running into Browns traffic.
Yeah, but this Sunday I'll be watching the Detroit game while I'm at the Guardians game. So you got 2 full hours.
Oh, while you're at the Cavs game?
A Browns game of the Browns versus Detroit before, it's time to turn on the Guardians. So,
and then the Cavs are starting up pretty soon, right?
Yeah. Media day is on Monday. So, the Cavs season will be here before you know it. So, they'll be, trying to actually win the Eastern Conference because every major team that's in their way has injuries to players. Jason Tatum won't be playing this season for the Boston Celtics. Tyrese Halliburton will not be playing for Indiana. So, those are some teams that you struggled against. So, I'm not sure why we're opening up against the New York Knicks. And then we have to play the New York Knicks in New York. And then we have to play them in New York on Christmas Day. So I'm not really feeling that part of the schedule or anything like that. Cavs versus the Thunder was a better matchup, except for the time they played Oklahoma City. But, it was a better matchup, and I feel like would draw more ratings than, Cavs versus Knicks. But, I don't know if they're trying to push us into a rivalry with the Knicks now, but, it is what it is. And
I know Tanner Bybee pitched last night. Do you know who's pitching tonight? I tried checking on land, and they haven't. I don't know who's up in the rotation.
I don't know either. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Because Steven
Williams or Logan? I mean, Logan Allen.
No, I don't think Logan Allen pitching in this series. Who do they have starting tonight?
Yeah, they haven't announced the lineups yet. So I guess you'll find out soon. They should soon, right? Because
yeah.
Do you think Francisco Lindor wishes he'd have given us the same hometown discount Jose did, and he'd have just stayed here? Do you think he wants to come back? Is that a move we could make? Because I'm not sure. I know who my shortstop is this year. I know who my second baseman is this year. I don't know who it's going to be next year. I don't know who they're keeping or what they're doing. Is there any chance you think Lindor wants to come back? His
No,
contract's got to be about up.
no, he loves New York too much. You know, I'm
Okay.
saying, Major League Baseball for whatever reason is really honed in on him this year and showing more social stuff on him, and I think he just loves New York. You
Okay.
know,
Parker
because
Messick.
huh?
Parker Messick, I just saw on the Twitter,
Oh yeah, Parker Messick is
is
starting
starting
tonight.
tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, and he's performed. He hasn't lost a game. So, go with the horses as you got. This young fella, he's
He's
very
3-0.
in the church and very in the God, and God is gonna propel him to victory. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
that would be
3-0
great
with
to
a
have.
2.08 ERA. I love that.
Yeah, that would
I
be
love
great
that.
to have Francisco Lindor back because the Mets aren't that great. I think that they're on the border for playoff contention. Are they in the I think they're on the border. Um, yeah,
Who, the Mets?
yeah, I think they might be the 6th seed or flip flopping back and forth, and being the final seed,
They're
the
six
final
right
wild
now.
card.
They're
Okay,
81
yeah.
and 77. They're the 6th seed right now.
Okay,
Looking at the AL, the Astros, the Tigers are at 85
yeah.
wins. The Astros are at 84. But the last time I checked the scoreboard, the Astros were beating the crap out of somebody like 10-1.
Okay,
So
yeah.
they
Oakland
could
or
flip, they could
Sacramento.
knock Detroit right out of the wild card
Yeah,
spot
yeah, they
by
could.
if they win today and we beat Detroit, we're going to flip. I mean, and nothing would make me happier than to win so much that we knock Detroit right out of the playoffs.
Yeah, because there's only a 1 game difference between Detroit and Houston, and we own the tiebreakers over
Yes.
both teams. So
Yep.
there's a possibility that we could, see Houston. Do you want to see Houston in the playoffs?
They don't scare me. This team, don't nobody scare me. Bring
Yeah.
it. This team is doing things they shouldn't be doing. The Astros are up top of the ninth, 11-3 on the Oakland A's.
Okay.
So I
And
feel
then
like they got that game under control.
yeah.
That's going to give them 85 wins, and it'll tie them with the Tigers. So if we beat the Tigers, we'll knock the Tigers back. So
we knock
yeah,
out that 6th position for the wild card. And
yeah,
then they play Boston to finish off the season.
yep.
So I don't know how I feel about possibly, beating Houston. Houston is a playoff tested team. They're not having the best year. I mean, we went and swept them, but playoffs are a little bit different.
Allegedly stealing signs this year, and they're actually playing ball.
Yeah, she did. And
We would have
still
home
beat
field
them
if we
every
get
time they're
seeded
here.
against them. Yeah, if we get seeded against them as a wild card, we'd have home field advantage. So we'd have more
Yeah.
games here. I think for this team in other years, home and away I didn't think mattered as much to me. I think for this team, they need to win every single game at home.
Mhm.
I think the Cavaliers needed to do that last year in the playoffs, and they ran into some issues. And maybe that's why they're trying to make the Knicks are some kind of a rivalry between us and them. But I think this Guardians team needs to win at home. They really do. Anytime they've got the home field, they need to win at home. They can get some away. I'm not worried too much about that. I'm going to put a lot of importance on the home games because I think they are young and they do get a lot of juice and energy from the fans that are there, which to me means those home games are that much more important for them going deep into the playoffs.
And it's crazy right now, Kate. The atmosphere at these like final games, it's like a playoff type atmosphere, which is awesome. Is really
even watching it on TV.
Yeah,
I get those vibes from the crowd and stuff. So
yeah, there
I'll be
was
there Saturday.
yeah. Yesterday there were like 26,000 people. On Monday there were 30,000, so a little bit less, but they're still loud nonetheless. Stephen Vogt called for the fans to come out. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And they responded to the call, and it's like playoffs there, and Detroit is one of your division rivals. I mean, they really haven't been very good for that long, but I was like, I don't want to play them a third time in a row because the games are boring. I was bored last night. But I don't care whoever we play. I think there's no expectations on us. So like you said, people probably think the Guardians ain't nothing until they punch you in the mouth. And that's what I'm like, I could see us making the ALCS and possibly contending, for possibly going to the World Series, because this is just crazy. And this team is playing out of control. They got hot at the right time, and they're doing the little things and everything that they need to do to make it to that level. Remember, I did say though that I didn't think the Guardians were going to go far in the playoffs. Now I'm changing my position because there's no expectations on this team. They have nothing to lose. It's all on the game. Everybody
so
wants
tonight we got Parker Messick. He's pitched in 6 games. He got 3 wins, 3 no decisions with a 2.08 ERA, 31 strikeouts. He's going up against Troy Melton. He's another young one. He's only 24. Parker's 24. They're both 24. He has pitched in 15 games with 5 decisions, 3 wins, 2 losses. He's got a 2.8 ERA, 35 strikeouts. Little better numbers from a strikeout perspective, but more games, 9 more games. So I'm not worried about those couple extra strikeouts. And he's got almost an entire ERA, almost at 3, where our guy's at 2. So it should be a pretty even pitching matchup. Nobody I'm afraid of. Nobody our guys can't hit. Should be no problem with him tonight. So I think you're going to get to see a good one. I'm super excited about Saturday. I think Saturday is just going to be a party atmosphere. It's hard, I think, for like this week of the year in particular, because the Guardians have been off everyone's radar for so long, right? All summer. Summer's when you take your kids and you go to a ball game because they're not in school, and they were 15 games back and now it's like, oh my goodness, we're in a race. We're winning games. This is good. We need to go, but the kids are back at school and I got to work tomorrow. And so if they're going to do it, and I'm going to take a day off of work, because if I'm going to go to the game and stay till the fireworks are over and be late or hungover the next morning, I'm going to do it for a playoff game. So you might see the attendance hit right around 30 this week, because people are hedging their bets. Like, I got playoffs coming up. I'm going to get to see more baseball. So I think if they'd been winning all year, you might see bigger crowds, but I think people are still being caught off guard. I was talking to someone yesterday who had no idea that the game yesterday won us I'm like, they're like, I quit paying attention to them in August. And I'm like, dude, then you've missed the most fun of the year. You need to turn the channel back, quit watching football, get over here to baseball, and go see what's going on, because this team is really good. And it's one of my husband's biggest frustrations. No matter how good the Cavaliers are doing, the top 5 inches on the sports page in the newspaper is Browns. Even when they're not in season, it's Browns. And then they get to Cavaliers and Guardians. And as media, you and I started the show with the Guardians. Because I was thinking, well, let's just talk about the Browns and get them out of the way. And I'm like, no, let's start the show with Guardians, because they're the hot team in town. Let's talk about them. Let's celebrate them. And if we have time to talk football, we will. If not, we'll get to them next week.
Yeah, because I just was going to ask you, are there any teams that you're afraid of in the playoffs? Right now, Seattle is... Huh?
The Mariners make me nervous.
Yeah, the Mariners,
they do. Yeah. There's something, I don't know, special. I don't know what the word is I want to use about. There's something going on with the Seattle Mariners this year. I'm a little afraid of them. I'm not afraid of anybody else. Toronto doesn't scare me. I feel like Toronto's like Detroit. They have peaked, and they're going to start coming back down to earth. They've lost their last 2 games, whereas the Mariners are on a 6-game winning streak. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games, just like we are. Toronto's 4-6. So I'm not scared of Toronto. They're coming back down to earth. But the Mariners are getting hot at the right time as well.
And they have a lot of momentum. They haven't made the playoffs in a long time. They haven't touched a World Series. So, Cal Raleigh has 60 home runs, which is just crazy. He's playing great. And they got a lot of momentum, and they have Josh Naylor, who was originally not on their team at the beginning of the season. He was with the Arizona Diamondbacks, but he was traded to Seattle, and he's played very well for them. So
yeah, that could be an interesting matchup in the.
Well, we would have to play Seattle after our
Yeah.
Detroit game, or whoever we play in the playoffs, whether it's Detroit or
Play the wild
Houston.
card, depending. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Seattle will be waiting for us.
Yeah, Mama Naylor got some skin and brew for everybody.
I know, right? So yeah, I'm just like, the irony of that situation, because he said he was surprised that the Guardians didn't sign him to a long-term deal. Even though he knew that they don't, he was taken by surprise. So that would kind of be crazy if we ended up facing him. But let's move on to the Browns, heck of a weekend, heck of a game. I'm a woman, I'm very emotional, and I don't get over a lot of things. Still mad at Andre Schmidt, who is, special teams player of the week. Yes. I haven't gotten over him missing those kicks in the first game, because even if he just made the extra point attempt and tied the game,
he just had to make one of them. He didn't have to make them both. Just one of them.
Just had to make one.
Give me an extra point. Give me something.
This team could be at 2-1. We could be at 2-1.
And it was a divisional game. And the Bengals are a hot, holy mess right now without Joe Burrow. Yes. That was the game you needed, because now that he's out, their record's going to drop. But now they own you in the tiebreaker. Now you got to beat them in Cincinnati if you want a chance at anything. My favorite. So I took my grandson to the game Sunday. 3.5 minutes left. 3.5 minutes left. And Raphael and I are like, Grandma, we're down 10-0. I'm like, I know, but it's your first NFL game, and all of a sudden we're winning 13-10, and it's just that quick. It was defense and special teams. Defense got tired of the offense not scoring. Said, we're going to take the ball away. We're going to get down to the 5 for you. They got the ball down to the 1 on offense, and then penalized themselves back to the 20-something and had to take that field goal. I was losing my mind. I had to censor my language because can't be swearing in front of my 12-year-old grandson. But then we got the touchdown. And then when it came time for that field goal, there is nothing like being at a game when there's a game-winning field goal, when there's all these storylines, right? The Browns are terrible. The Packers are going to go undefeated. The NFC North is better than the AFC North. This kicker missed all these important kicks week. There's all this stuff going on.
More Packers fans there than Browns fans.
They were all up in front of us. And they're as aggravating as any fan base that I have sat near. At one point, they're like jumping up and down and screaming and yelling and high-fiving. And I'm like, y'all know the Browns suck, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, and you're only beating us 3-0 at this point in the game, right? Like, I don't think you should be celebrating because y'all don't look very good right now. But they didn't care. But the exhilaration, we just ignored the sad Packers fans. The exhilaration of a Browns fan when you get that kind of win, I don't think any other team can compare to it, because we get so few opportunities to be that happy that when we get them, then we make the most of them. We were screaming and yelling. We were hoarse when we got home. I went out and bought a Myles Garrett jersey. That defense was on point, and they didn't let the offensive struggles get them down. Special teams stepped up big.
First time ever since Josh Cribb's been gone.
Yes.
Special teams actually had a heck of a game.
Yeah. So I think penalties hurt us more than anything on offense. I'm not sure what's going on with Flacco. I saw some drop passes that could have been caught, but he wasn't as accurate as he's been in the past. I'm not ready for Dylan Gabriel yet. No. Next time we're at home, October 19th, Dylan can play. You need to get the Lions out of the way. You need to get the London game out of the way against the Vikings, which we should win. Now that J.J. McCarthy's out, those Vikings, they've got a great defense, but that's all they got going for them. I'll put my defense up against theirs any day. And then we got that away game in Pittsburgh. And then when we come home, week 7, if they're ready for Dylan Gabriel and they think it's time to see what they got, that week 7 game at home is when I would have him ready to go. And let's just see what we've got.
I'm not ready yet, because I feel like you put these young guys in, you're throwing them to the wolves.
Agreed, but it's a dominoes, right? Is Joe struggling because our offensive line is having issues? If that's the problem, Dylan ain't gonna do any better. other than he's got a little more mobility, he's littler, so it's harder for the defense to find him. He did have to run for his life quite a bit. He'll have to watch some film against Ohio State to see what it was like to run for his life back then in Oregon. It'll be the same thing. I don't know if his skills will be enough for us to win games. But I don't know how anyone realistically thinks that this one win against the Green Bay Packers vaults us into playoff contention, because it does not. We are still not as good as the Baltimore Ravens or 6 other teams in the AFC. I think this season has to be about winning some games, because you've got pride. You've got to learn how to win. And it's got to be about figuring out what we're going to do with Dylan Gabriel. We keeping him or are we going to trade him? And so week 7 is the absolute earliest I would put him in. But it all goes back to, why is Flacco struggling? Is it just Flacco and he's not throwing well and he's not playing well? Or is it the offensive line? Because if it's the offensive line, if it's receivers not catching, if
or
it's
getting open,
getting separation and getting open, Dylan's going to have that same problem. Now, we have also had a brutal start to this season, having to see the Ravens and the Bengals and the Packers. We've seen some very good defenses. We're going to see another one this week with the Lions. We're going to see another one with the Vikings.
Yeah.
We're going to see another one in Pittsburgh. Like, out the front of our schedule is loaded with good defenses. So let's talk about, before the Pittsburgh game, let's see where we're at, what our record is, what we think is going on with the situation, and then you and I can guess, make another guess on when we think Gabriel will be going in. I think they're still working on developing Shedeur. I'm not worried about him. I'd love to see him, but I don't know that I need to see him, because for me, I am keeping him. I am developing him this year, and I am keeping him because he is the future of this franchise. With Dylan, it's, can he get me some wins this year and look good enough that I can trade him for something big when Shedeur is ready to play? Or is he a backup to Shedeur? Because they're both rookies on rookie contracts. They're dirt cheap.
Yeah, but this is the thing that gets me. As horrific as our offense has been, our offensive line, the quarterbacking, we've been in these games. Yep. And it's so disheartening that we could not pull out that first game against Joe Burrow. You know, Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in this league, and we held them to 17 points. You know, our defense is resembling the defense of 2023. And just like the defense took a year off.
And I have said this to you before. Any NFL defense that can hold a team under 21 points, for me, that magic number is 21. If you can hold a team under 21 points, you can win every game.
Yeah.
But your offense has to score more than 10. Our offense can't score more than 17.
Yeah. And then, you know, you go into that game with Baltimore, at Baltimore. You're there in the first quarter with them, toe for toe. Second quarter, toe for toe. Then you come out after halftime and you turn the ball over 4 times. You're not going to be able to win games like that. But
they're not good enough to make those mistakes, Rachel. They can't commit the stupid pre-snap penalties, and you cannot give the ball back to your opponent. You can't. And you're not good enough for that. You need to fix those. And they have come out flat the third quarter of every single game since Kevin Stefanski became our head coach.
Yeah, you tried this experiment with DeJuan Jones at left tackle. Unfortunately, he's out again for the 3rd straight year. You know, I'm wondering if he's going to have to retire because he can't finish the season. So you have that. So, you know, who are you going to have protecting Joe's blind side? Because it hasn't been good. You know, we talk about Bill Callahan leaving, you know, and the offensive line has kind of been a wreck since. They're old. And then in this Packers game, because I was at the Guardians game watching both, so I wasn't able to, you know, fully. I didn't go to the Guardians were on the road. I was with friends, but you know, they know that my TV is on and I'm watching the Guardians as well. This Packers game, you're going toe for toe with the Packers.
Yep.
You know, your defense pulled through for you at the very end. And Joe was able to execute on that last drive to get them in a position. But your defense, is sometimes going to win games for you. And that's what the defense did. But they were toe for toe with Green Bay. Green Bay scored what? 10 points. And, Jordan Love, is a great quarterback, but you held them.
Yeah.
And this defense is so good. I know they're so tired. They're so tired that this team, the offense continues to go 3 and out. They're not able to produce. The Browns are constantly having to defend, for short drives.
Yep.
And just hats off, and they showed Myles Garrett mic'd up on the sidelines, when that kick took place, and he's cheering on Schmidt, and he gave him the biggest hug and stuff like that. But it's just like, where was that against Cincinnati, man? Come on. And this team could be 2-1, have a little bit more confidence going on into Detroit, because I think even though Detroit is a high-powered offense, I think that they're going to be able to go toe for toe against Detroit, and it'll be a close game.
At least through halftime. I'm looking at the first 3 games of the season. We turned the ball over twice. First week, twice. The second week, only once against Green Bay, and we got one back. So that was even. But we were in both those games at halftime.
Yes.
Like 10-3. 10-3 is easy. You're in that game at halftime. How do you lose that then 41 to whatever? Like, because you mentally, your third quarter, you gave up 10 points in the third quarter and then 21 in the fourth. Like, you can't do that to your defense. If you're going to do that, you got to come out guns blazing in the third quarter and try to get a lead up so that your defense, when they get tired, it's a game management at this point for me. But it is. I love highlights. I love me some Quinshon Judkins. He is everything he was advertised to be as a running back. I love him. And I love Harold Fannin as a nice option at tight end when the Chief, David Njoku's got double coverage. Harold's finding ways to get open, which is great. I'm very concerned.
Now.
Yeah, it's my wide receivers I have a problem with. Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy. Y'all need to catch a ball.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all need to catch a ball.
And that's not Joe Flacco's fault. So,
no, that's not.
Joe is catching heat and blame, but
a lot of these balls were catchable.
And drop balls.
These are catchable. Yeah. All right. Let's say go Guardians, and let's close the show on a high note.
Okay.
They're already playing. You're going to be late. You're already late.
Yeah, I'm going to be late.
But it's okay.
All right, girl. Well, thank you so much, Kate. Remember, you can catch her in the Huddle on iHeartRadio. Always keep it locked here at WOVU 95.9 FM. Don't forget to download the app. And also, you can catch us at WOVU.org. So, for the First Lady, for Cleveland Kate, go Guardians, and we are out of here.